come to save the day.
How are you doing today?
Good to meet you. I'm a big fan of your guys' site.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Hear that. Oh,
Yeah. No, man. I just starting to do this film. I got into that whole world, a couple of years ago. Yeah. And sort of. Yeah.
Well, I'm honored because I'm hearing just such wonderful things about this movie, and it's amazing what you're talking about. You're talking about something that's really relevant in this day and age. This whole discrimination. We just went through Prop 8 in California, which was hugely controversial. Are you feeling that? Was that the intention to kind of explore that side of politics or whatever?
Well, I mean, Neil's sort of spoken a bit about his influences on it and all of that. I definitely, from a character point of view, found that fascinating, and to explore from my character's perspective how you create a world that you really think you know what you're doing, and you've got certain values and you've got certain things that you want to defend and kill for if necessary. And that's what man's been doing for like the last 50,000 years. So there's definitely some kind of evolutionary process going on, and I've always believed the best sci-fi stuff has some kind of deep-rooted human question, mythological question, where it's like Blade Runner, like who are we? Matrix had that as well, like that feeling of what's actually going on here. There's the popcorn element of wow, it's really exciting, but if it does really well in like a Star Wars, obviously, where those real rooted elements in humanity and are there. So it was an awesome exploration of that.
Nice. So how was it shooting this? I mean, how much did you work with Peter Jackson, or was he kind of did he step away while you guys were doing this?
Peter was amazing, man. He's an artistic filmmaker, and so as a producer, he just let us do what we wanted to do. And Neil works in a similar way, led me with the character. I mean, I improvised all my dialogue. It was like we would come to a scene as like, these are the three things that kind of have to happen. And even that, as the story went, we changed, we tweaked. So it was a very free way of working. It was a way of, for example, where the effects are not driving what's happening. I could give the eye line that I wanted and the CG guys would work to me. Effects is getting to that point where you don't have to, it actually was almost the opposite of saying, well, we did it all on green screen and all the actors had this terrible time trying to delivering, you can say one line at a time and you can kind of, this was the complete opposite, no green screen, no, just in the environment, put the creatures in afterwards. So,
yeah, that sounds it sounds just challenging, but really fun, And the director just gave you the freedom to just do what you needed to do for your character then.
Yeah, totally. It was just, that type of way of working I think was really unique. There was, in the crew with the DOP, Trent, he's made movies before. I'd worked behind the camera a lot, so everybody kind of has an idea of what was involved. So I understand continuity, I understand those things and where the camera is and all of that. So we could work in a flowing way because of the high level, super high level VFX guys, who were just watching, and I owned a visual effects company, I know visual effects, so I could kind of go, there's an awareness, everybody has an awareness, and you're kind of moving like a sort of special forces team almost, where you trust each other in your areas.
Hey, Jimmy from JoBlo, how are you? Good. First of all, I'm totally bummed I didn't get to see it last night, but I'm hearing nothing but amazing things about this. How was it to open it up to Comic-Con like that and have that kind of reaction?
Oh, it was good. Yeah, no, it was really, really good. I mean, I've literally been working my ass off for 2 years just working on this film, and I've been in New Zealand, which is how Pete makes films. He's very disconnected from Hollywood if he wants to be down there. So I have been really unplugged, and I've only just gotten back to North America because I live in Vancouver. And so this has all happened extremely quickly. So showing the film last night to a group of people that seem to be really receptive to it is amazing, because it literally could have gone one of two ways, last night, and it seems to be good. So, yeah.
Well, I'm hearing a lot about the idea of the robots being kind of discriminated against. It seems the aliens. Yeah, it seems so poetic and really fitting for these times. Was that ever going through your mind as you're making the film?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's no question that the backdrop to the film is South Africa and is apartheid and segregation and everything that comes along with South Africa, But so the story takes place inside a very segregative society, but it doesn't beat any of those ideas over your head. It doesn't ram any political sort of any of my own views down people's throats. It simply says, this is a city I grew up in. This is kind of the environment that I grew up in, but I'm just putting science fiction into it, and it naturally has this very, very serious political, racially charged background. But the film itself is less serious.
Okay. It sounds. Were you ever concerned about how violent you would get, or did you want to just make it a hard, intense film, which I'm hearing it really is?
It is, but it's also, there's a lot of satire in it. There's a lot of sort of dark humor. So it's kind of a mixture of both. But there's no question that right from the get-go I knew it was R. I mean, it was just, because those are the kind of films I like. I just wanted to make something that there wouldn't be any limitations, And, having said that, I mean, it's definitely not like some sort of splatterfest insanity. It just means that in certain cases, if I want, I can turn the volume up. And I knew I wanted to do that. So yeah, we went about it right from the beginning knowing it was going to be R.
Now, obviously, you're talking about the low budget here for this film, which you've had immense experience with in your earlier career. What was it like kind of seeing someone go through what you did at that, with this film?
Well, that was it was fun because I was able to relate a lot to what what was happening to Neil, and that in a way was my role on this project, was to say, look, I've been there, I've done this, I know what you're going to be going through, and here's some ideas, here's some tips, this will help you get through it. Because, I wanted to listen to his ideas and figure out the movie that was in his head, and then just help him get that film made. And and I, as you say, I have been there and done that in my early days.
And now you're kind of going back to the world of The Hobbit too after this. I mean, it must be insane for you. How are you feeling with that?
I was worried. It's been about 10 years since we wrote The Lord of the Rings. We actually did the script writing right at the beginning of that process, and I just didn't know whether we'd get our heads back into it or not. I was a little bit worried. I wasn't sure what would happen, but about 3 months ago we started writing the script in earnest, and I just clicked straight back into Middle-earth again. It was great. It was just like being amongst old friends, writing Gandalf's dialogue, Bilbo. I was really relieved, actually. It was fun, and so I'm enjoying it. It's fun. Screenwriting is the least stressful part of the whole process, because you don't really have huge numbers of people breathing down your neck. You don't have to worry about the weather. You don't have budget issues particularly. You have a great deal of creative freedom when you're writing. The hard reality of making the movie kicks in later, but I love the writing process, so we're enjoying that with The Hobbit at the moment.